too much contact with myself, now, there's that part of almost cutting out process.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel where we fulfill the desires of the Father. Today we're going to be talking about our visit to see our parents.
Yeah.
I think the idea of this video is just to share how it went for us and more importantly, things you might want to pay attention to when you're making such a trip. It's a very strategic meeting and you don't want to fall your hand, trust me.
After we started and we defined the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking you back to our previous video. By the way, we have
Yeah.
not seen that. You need to go and check it out.
You should.
It's going to be very, very helpful. Yeah, trust me. So, because we'll be making references, to that previous video. So, in the previous video, we said that, we had a conversation, a strategic conversation. She invited, she initiated the conversation, and we defined the relationship. It was clear we're both on the same page, and then and like ladies would say, until you ask me out, we have not started anything.
Yes,
I
that's
said,
right.
Okay, so for me, too, I was like, is that what you're saying? Let's be looking now. But we both knew that we are on that page already, like on the same page. So after some time,
Not officially.
not officially, according to her, for me, we've started something already. We've started something. So because of that, it took some time. After a while, I asked her out, officially. I don't know what that means. So I asked her out officially. So
Officially means, let me help them. Officially means I'm not assuming and I'm not thinking in my head that there's something. You had actually said,
Okay,
say, I want you
we have
to marry
started.
me. And I said yes.
Okay. I said I wanted to marry me and she said
Should we do
yes.
it again?
You understand? so
Be
so we
serious.
started the we started the relationship, and then at some point we just realized that we don't have to we had a sense of urgency from the beginning.
Yes.
Like
yes.
this thing doesn't have to take some time. We don't
I
have time to
saw
be dragging
Rigmaroling.
rope and then rigmaroling. So let me talk to my parents while you talk to your parents. So I decided to go to Ijebu, and then she decided to go
The mainland.
to the mainland to go and see our parents, and then that was the first step we had to take, as meeting our parents, and then making this relationship formal and extending the notice to our parents. So that was the first thing that we did. After that, what did we do?
For me, when I got to my parents, I want to also talk about this part. I think it also plays a major role before you finally bring your partner. When I went home, I mean, I'm the first child, I'm the first girl, I'm the first person getting married in my family. So you can imagine there's so much there's that part of your parents being very, very, very careful. They don't want you to make a mistake. I mean, they're just in love. If they have had 5 children, I mean, 4 of them are married, they're not the fifth. Might not be the same, but when you're the first person, you know how that is. So I got home and I had prayed about it, of course. I prayed about their hearts. I knew that my parents' consent was going to play a major role, and I was not going to go on with the relationship without their go ahead in that sense. So as I went home, I tried to water the grounds for Tayo. I knew that he was going to still come to see them and like make his intention known. So I gave them all the back end gist, all the part they needed to know about how God had led me. If you watch the video we talked about earlier, you see that we had done the prayer part, I had gotten prophecies, and then I talked about how things were unfolding and all the things that were signs that this has to be the person. So I think for me, that level of preparation really helped because without my parents meeting him, they had met him. And I was not trying, I didn't say things that were not true. So you don't have to go about making unfounded stories about this person. Because if your parents are sensitive and they're children of God and hear God, they can
They
still
will
find
pick
that,
it,
when they meet the person that, oh, but you said this. And, in my case, I just told them, this is this that I know about this person. This is what he has shown himself to be in these few months of being his friend and all that. And then that was it for me. I could tell before he came that there was a level of acceptance. Without even meeting him, I could tell that my father was like a major decider. My mommy was really, African mother. She was more on the rejoicing side. Not that she was not open to checking out this person, but she was more on that side of God has answered my prayer, blah blah. And she had dreams too that around that period. So she felt like this was God. But for my dad, it was more about trying to get my dad to see that this person could lead his daughter. And I think that part is important. So as a lady, you must go home, prepare your parents' mind, try and water the ground before your spouse
Make it
comes.
easy for the guy.
Yes, because there's a way you navigate that conversation with your parents that will make you so, it will be like you've already done the work.
And
Guy
the
just
same
collect the
applies to
formality.
guys too.
So good, yeah.
By the time going home, so I think I should talk about my own going home. So I went home. Remember my own story.
Prophecy.
Prophecy. So one of these men of God, one of them I met him individually. The other person, one of them, I met him and alongside my dad at the point when he was giving that word of prophecy, right? And my dad has received it.
And
It's
believed
well,
it.
I was just smiling that day. So okay. So my dad had been, it has been established in
He has
his
gone
heart
home with it here.
that my wife is going to be coming from Djibouti. And I'm sure he must have related the same to my mother, and they would have been on the same page on this matter. But the young man wasn't agreeing with any of this, right? So so that plays a level of difficulty, or poses a level of difficulty, to go back home and tell them that what I'm seeing is different from what the man said. I remember that my people, Christians, and then they believe the prophets. I believe the prophets too, though. But for me, I don't have a witness because this is my matter, it's my journey. At the end of the day, I'm the one getting married, not my father, not my mother. So because I've not gotten anything in that direction, I could not have fallen for because the prophet has said it, and so be it. So I went home. What did I do? We had prayed, of course. I will say
Prayer
that thing
of
again.
agreement.
You must pray. You must pray. Prayer power. So we had a prayer of prayer of agreement, and then I prayed on my own too. I was like, God, you have brought this lady to me. This is you. And then make it easy for me. I don't have time to be doing plenty conversation, and then trying to convince. But before I left, okay, so that's why I tell guys, you need to have a conviction so strong, because I knew what I was
Going to face.
to face. Not just that they had the prophecy, my dad had the prophecy. The second thing, they knew about the previous relationship, and how it was going to make a mess out of the young man's destiny. It's a story for another day. But so they were like, guy, you cannot miss it. If you miss it this time, we cannot be part of the rescue mission or whatever it is. So 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 it was not going to be just this is the person now. She's not from Ijebu, number one. Number two, I just met her.
And I just have a
2 months, yeah, 3 months, we are just getting out of one mess. You say you want to, oh God, be careful. Let them mirror away. If you don't understand, let them mirror away is a mirror away, take it easy. Okay. So I went to Ijebu, and then after prayers, when I got there, I realized that God has done a lot for us. When I got there, I was just telling my dad, I will tell you this story, just listen carefully. I said my dad, I said, they were so happy to see me, of course, yeah. And this is the thing, this new person. Why did you come? Because sorry, I hardly go home. I'm not shading myself. I'm just telling you what it is. I hardly go home. So they saw me. Why did you come home? Blah, blah, blah. I said, this is the thing. I found a new person. Like the normal response now. So where's she from? My dad, though. The man is coming from the prophecy. Ijebu woman. Meanwhile, she's from Ijebu. So, so Ijebu is Ishan and Ijebu. So I was saying, okay, she's from this place and all of those things. My dad said, Adua Amaga, we will pray. We have to pray. Bring the name, we'll pray over it and all of those things, and that's what we do. Where I come from. Yeah, it's part of the things we do. So that they will pray over the name and then. But to my surprise, my dad was saying, I was trying to say this one is different from that one. This one is we are on this page, we are on this page. I told them everything. I even showed him pictures of our trips. We had a great time, we had a nice time. Okay. That trip. Okay, so I showed him pictures. The next thing my dad was, I think there was something on her face from that picture, I don't know. My dad saw the picture on my phone.
His favorite.
Wow, nice. My dad was saying we're still going to pray about it and all of this. And the next thing was, so when are we looking at? Even me, I was shocked. That what do you mean? I'm not joking. I could not understand what he meant by when are we looking at, because I could not bring those two lines together. When are we looking at? The man that just said we are going to pray about it. Take it easy. It took my sister, my younger sister, to say that he's saying that when are you looking to get married with this person? I just say, okay, yeah. sometime, this year, just want to meet you, but maybe later in the year. And this was last year too, after I went home. So this tells me that God had already done a lot ahead,
Yeah,
and the next thing, my mom too was just following me.
most times mothers don't really.
They
There
don't.
can be mothers that are difficult, but most times mothers are. It's the fathers that
Yeah.
really decide.
Even how was I? The narrative just changed in a twinkle of an eye. This thing is getting long, but guys, I had to just tell you about the story, and it is still about the prayer, the power of prayer.
Yes.
Prayer of agreement, your
Prayer
own personal
waters
prayer,
the
like
ground.
God can water the ground, do all those things.
Mm.
See, I might have spoken well of her, highly of her, and then do all of those things. But because of the stronghold, my dad, remember, my own case at their end was different. But our own case, my dad has heard something, and then I just stepped out of something. So my dad was even like, no, it must be Jebu. And he was feeling like you are safe once you marry from your own clan. But me, I've never been like that. So that was it for me.
So I think after the visit to our parents'
Mm.
houses, the next thing we did was to agree on when we're going to see parents together. What I mean by that is
introducing.
both of us going to see his parents, him coming to see my parents, like that. So that was the next step. So we had to reach out to our parents and ask them when would they like to have us. So I think, was it that, did we go to your parents first? Do you remember?
No, we went to Brent first.
Okay, yeah, so because it's the one coming to marry.
Yeah, so
Let me not go to his parents. My parents are not accepted.
that's it. If you don't think that way.
So yeah, I remember that my parents now like picked a date that worked for them. And God being so kind, it wasn't so far from after I went to tell them.
And we went to the house, and then
So yes, before now these are the hacks now because we're just going to be gisting, but while we are gisting, we're hoping that you can pick some of these things. We had prayed, right? Another thing we did was when he was coming to see my parents, what I tried to do was I tried to make him look very good. How? I told him the likely questions they would ask because I know my parents. I told him the things that would be very important to them and how he has to think about what he's going to say when those things come up in conversation. I told him what he should get for them. So, my dear, never go to your parents in law for the first time.
empty-handed.
And don't be resist that urge to buy bread by the roadside. My brother, you can't do that. So I mean, you have to be thoughtful about your gifts. I remember that Tayo got my dad. There's this particular drink my dad likes. Like he likes the drink. My dad does not take alcohol, but he's a pastor. But I mean, there's a particular what was the name of that drink? Or something bitters.
One Schweppes kind of.
Schweppes, one
And
of the
then
flavors.
wine.
He got thoughtful gifts that make my parents would feel like, oh, this person either asked questions before they got this or they were thinking about us. So he came with gifts. He came prepared. What else did I do? I know we had this Google Meet meeting before you came to the house where we were like outlining the thing. Do you remember that meeting?
Yes.
So like it was a meeting where we actually went through. We literally we had a mental picture of how the thing was going to play out, how you should greet them, what you should say and what you should not say. I mean, so just the guy was coming with his manifesto, so you had to be prepared. So that was that part I did when you were coming to see my parents. Talk about how the experience went when you came to the house.
So getting to the house.
Yeah.
Well, so for me, at some point when she was, I saw the list of the things that to expect. I was like, this is rather too much for a young man like me. I'm just starting my life. So I was like, this is looking overwhelming. I just said to myself, even though she was affirming that no, my parents are very liberal, so be free, but at the same time, you must know what
They are
you're doing.
detailed.
They are detailed. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be myself. But I know that this is your daughter, I'm taking her away. So I was so sure in my mind. So I went there and I was just so free. There was some periods of silence, no conversation, because they're just getting to know me. So they cannot just be throwing questions and then gisting. Don't expect that, even though we had a nice time. And but don't go there and be pressing your phone and then because they're not seeing anything, you be pressing phone, you're watching live calls or you're receiving calls randomly. It doesn't make sense. So you know that you are going there to pick somebody's daughter, and it means a lot to them. It means a lot to them, and you now go to in front of them, and you are pressing your phone or you are receiving calls. It doesn't make sense. If they put TV in front of you to be watching, make sure that is not a distraction to the conversation. So how did the event play out? For me, it was just how do I call it? Like a walk in the park. Even though at some point, at the beginning, I was a bit nervous. It's as expected, but in between the conversation, it was just a kind of father and son and mother and son kind of conversation. And then that's the reason why you have to go and marry within your clan. And I'm not saying your village. I'm not saying if you're from Ijebu, marry from Ijebu. If you're a believer, marry from somebody who is coming from a believing family. That's important so that all these things makes the journey easy for you. When he was talking to me, he was not talking out of what I already knew, right? He was talking about okay within the confines of the Christendom, right? I was talking about okay your faith and all of those things, and I was not going to lie. I told him when I messed up. I told him. He asked me about my previous relationship. I told him. So I was just that bold. I was not that audacious, and I felt like simplicity and originality will help you a long way when you are meeting with them for the first time. You don't have to fake anything. For somebody who is as sensitive as our dad, I couldn't afford to be trying to dodge things. I told him even some things about my family that I needed to know. So I was just open. So because they are open to me, so it builds me to be to be open to them as well. So and for me, to my surprise, the greatest surprise of my life, right there and then, it gave me my scorecard. It is never done. I've never seen it before. That you take your husband to be to your parents, and then they will be telling you right there and then, like this guy. They called her out. I say she came out and then said, "Yeah, you brought your friend who is supposed to be your." The dad is very gentle, a very loving father. Pastor. Shout out to Pastor David Assel. We love you, daddy. So, I'll say, I've seen your friend, and from everything we have discussed and everything I said, I'm okay with him. I was like, okay, just like this. My brother and sister, men and brethren, that was it. That was the end. And then after that time, the next thing was for me to take her down to Ijebodi, and then after that, we started the marriage preparation. So, I will take you back to where I started from. Make sure that she was saying that make sure that the person is looking good, prepare the way, wet the ground, talk highly of the person, speak highly of the person, before they come, and then you the person that you are coming.
Don't go forehand.
The Bible says, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Go in the name of the Lord, though. Don't go in the strength of your brain, or because you have a vehicle you are taking there, or you have some money, it's not even the gift. Because whatever I bought for them is not something they've not had before, it's just something, it's nothing. But it's because they could see the art, they could feel like this guy is connected to God. And they could feel the vibrations. Whatever you are carrying, they will feel it. So go in the strength of whatever you think you want to go, they will pick the vibration. And if it is good for you, just stick to that. That's my advice.
Yeah, I was just going to layer on my own side when I went to see your parents. Then we can tie it there.
Okay.
So I remember when we were making the trip to Dubai, to be honest, I was really scared. Why? Obvious reasons. He had told me about the prophecy, he had told me about his past relationship, and it just looks like our own was happening so quickly, things were going so fast, and I was not sure about how they were going to accept me. Like, I was really thinking a lot of things, but I remember that season, I remember praying a lot about my heart, praying a lot about their hearts. I really prayed, like, truly, from when you start the process of your marriage, one thing you must always do is talk to God. Like, even if the prayer is God help me, that is the prayer. And God has heard. So I prayed a lot. And I also spoke to him about my fears. And he was able to douse some of them. Like when I say, what's what I think will happen? This could go wrong. We're like, okay, this is how we can avert this and that. So it was really helpful. Now, prior to the day where to go to Djibouti, of course, as a lady, make sure you dress well. I think that's a no-brainer. You can't go there wearing funny outfits. Anything that makes you look like maybe you're not decent. I mean, you cannot do that. So dress well. I also went with gifts. In my own case, I got something for everybody in the house. Because of how scared I was. I got something for everybody, and I was just thankful for provision and all that. That they stopped it. I'm not giving anything. I also mentioning your name. So in my own case, they're not. So in my own case, I got something for everybody because I was really, really nervous. Like, oh God, let my gifts even speak. Like how the Bible says that a man's gifts make him forget. So yeah, one of the signs that God started to show me that God had gone ahead, because God really went ahead of both of us. That one, we give it to God. The moment somebody had offered to drive us to and fro. I was like, At the time, we are going to like get a vehicle to take us, but this person was just a friend of my husband.
That was Tunde.
I'm from the
And shout out to you,
hills.
Tunde. Thank
So I
you.
just said, okay, you're going to Djibouti. Okay, I'll come over to the house. Let's drive down. That was like answer to prayer because I was already thinking about how we enter a public vehicle. That was out of it. The second major problem, this one I had to lift my hands and say, Father, you hear prayer. When I heard that third day, so that day is my husband's younger brother. He had not been to the house for many years, baby. You remember?
For a long time.
A long time is like a long time. This same third day, I heard that we were going home. And he said he was fooling us. Do you know how happy I was? Guess what? Because I was telling myself that the focus should not be on only me. There's one that has been away. Is coming up. So you know that part of we are coming with that there's that atmosphere of rejoicing, celebration. Because I can imagine if it was my family too that maybe my brother has been away and it happens that the day my husband is coming, they're coming together. There will be that of Anthony, how have you been? It's not only about who are you, what is your name, what do you do? So I was really, really happy when Tade said he was coming, and that was how we drove down to Djibouti. One of the things I also found out before I got there was I asked my husband, how did they greet your family? Because you're not a Yoruba person. By the way, I cannot speak Yoruba. But I said that I learned some little bit. And just I'll be able to still say something in Yoruba when I get there. So my husband told me how to go about it. Like I should prostrate, I should kneel and what. I didn't mind because I'm looking for the acceptance. So one thing I'll say, as a lady, you have to be willing to that part of accepting their culture. If you're not married from your if your husband and yourself are not from the same culture, like the same state,
Yeah.
be open to learning about how they do their stuff. Just if it's just for the purpose of the period where you're going to be with the family to go and see them, it's really, really helpful. Then I went on YouTube and I actually typed going to visit your parents, your in-laws for the first time. I can be like that. And one of these videos by Pastor Funke, what's that?
Felix Adejumo.
Yes, Pastor Felix Adejumo. No, yeah, I think it's Funke.
Yeah,
Abi.
Funke Felix Adejumo.
That was video that popped up, and I watched that video. Some little things she said, to be honest, they were hard for me. If I'll put the video in the description box. So, summary of everything. I got there, I greeted the way I saw I was supposed to greet. I was very calm. I listened a lot. I didn't talk too much. So there are some things you don't do when you're going for the first time. You don't go and talk too much. Don't act like I too know you know everything. If they give you food, don't go and show as if you're hungry. I've not eaten for weeks. I mean, there are ways. Just be moderate. Like you eat with decorum. You must not clean the plate and be licking. Because you won't do that. But on a more serious note, they are literally picking almost everything you do that first time. So like how they say first impression matters most.
Yep.
So it was a very good one. Tade's presence made a lot of difference. Tunde himself also came and it was just really you remember that day now?
Mm-hmm.
His mom accepted me like even the way she hugged me, I felt like wow, like I felt really accepted. So I feel we put in that level of preparation and God also backed us up of course. So tying it together, overall, just make sure you're well prepared for that visit. Pray a lot. When you get there, be of your best behavior. No matter the number of questions you are asked, make sure you're polite in your response. Do not give an air of you're getting frustrated or the questions are getting at you. Just make sure you keep a smiley face, be very welcoming. Make sure you go with gifts. That one is very important. Another thing you should also do is after that visit, make sure you keep in touch. You must not call them every other week, but that part of okay, you built that relationship. You are nurturing it up to the point where you now become married to their son or to their daughter. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think that's all about it. And then, I just want to add to the part about building or keeping up with the relationship. So it might be very difficult if you are not intentional.
Yes.
So it's just as simple as sending good morning text message. And then if you are lucky enough,
Happy New Month.
Happy New Month around that time, Father's Day or Mother's Day or Sister's Day or Children's Day, whatever it is, leverage those moments, leverage those times because it won't be natural, it won't come to you naturally. You are just starting the relationship. So look out for those times and seasons that you can leverage to birthdays and then as simple as that. So it's important to get that done. And when you have done all of those things, Bible says, I haven't done all
Stand.
that. I haven't done all.
That scripture
Stand.
came to mind.
So when you are done with all of this, stand. So stand on your convictions, stand on the love that is existing between both of you,
Stand on the
stand on
words.
the word, and yeah, I think yeah, your wedding is just around the corner. I want to believe that this has been
Resourceful.
resourceful, yeah. And if you have learned one or two things, we'd like for you to share with us in the comment
Yeah,
section.
if you have any friend that's getting
Yeah.
married,
Yep.
goes to see their in-laws,
Please
and
share
you
with
just do
them.
well,
Just
there'll be something they can
share
pick.
with them. Share with them one or two things that you have to pick. And then please like. Don't forget to like this video, share, and then if you have not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button before you leave this channel. Thank you for sticking around. We love you. We appreciate you. We see you some other time. Bye.
Bye.
Make contact together. And so, now, there's that part of almost cutting out process.